Our next guest has been covering it all, including the impact on American politics. Let's bring in Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report and author of the new book, To Rescue the Constitution. Bret, thank you so much for being with us. And I want to get straight to the news that broke earlier this evening, domestic politics. Steve Scalise dropping out of the Speaker's race. What on earth and where does it leave us?
Basically, Jonathan, good evening. It means that the Republicans are searching, and they're searching for someone who can get to the magic number of 217. The Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, was the nominee of the Republican caucus. He only had 113 votes, and he wasn't in a strong position. He was trying to work the room to try to figure out if he could get votes and shore up that position. But the Republican caucus was not budging. Some people were loyal to Jim Jordan. Other people say they want to go back to Kevin McCarthy. So the Republicans are a bit in chaos now. So this evening, Steve Scalise withdrew his name, and now the process starts to find it in earnest. It's a real question whether they can do that, and Democrats, meanwhile, are pressing to try to get some bipartisan sharing of a speakership, which Republicans obviously don't want to do.
Yeah, interesting. And you had this fascinating interview earlier on Special Report with former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Bret, I just want to play a quick clip of that, and then I'll get your thoughts afterwards.
It seemed like it went backwards, so that's kind of a difficulty. But look, I went 15 rounds. There were days I didn't think I was going to win.
So, Bret, Kevin McCarthy admitting that it's all gone backwards, but interestingly with you, not ruling out perhaps that he could be future House Speaker as well as former House Speaker.
Right. I mean, I think I tried it about 7 different ways to ask that question, and he didn't rule it out. He said it's up to the conference. But the bottom line is you still have to get to that number, 217. And remember, there were 8 Republicans who voted to take Kevin McCarthy out of the office for the first time we've ever seen that in the history of our country. So they have an uphill battle here. They're going to either have to say the Middle East situation is so intense that we need to get to a speaker, and let's either get McCarthy, let's go to Jordan, or someone else that we're not even talking about. They can nominate anybody as long as they get around all of the numbers. And Democrats, it doesn't look like any of them are going to shed from the 208 that stayed together and voted for Hakeem Jeffries.
Bret, getting to the situation in the Middle East, it's interesting the Biden administration trying to walk a line, it seems, on Iran, their potential involvement in the planning of this and funding, of course, of this horrible Hamas terrorist attack. And now, whether or not we are really freezing or simply more closely monitoring this $6 billion in Iranian funds. How difficult a situation is this for President Biden?
It's sticky on the Iran issue. But first, the president is getting a lot of credit for the speeches he's delivered over the past couple of days, sticking with Israel, being very not equivocating as far as this is a two-sided deal, this saying it's terrorism versus civilians, and also for Secretary of State Antony Blinken being side by side with the Israeli Prime Minister today and the speech he delivered. So they are getting credit for that from the Israelis and others, even Republicans on the Hill. On the Iran issue, there is this weird focus on this $6 billion, a part of the hostage exchange to get Americans out. They say not a single dollar came from that, and they spent days defending that. Now we have learned and confirmed that it is being frozen again and not going to Iran, a deal between the U.S. and Qatar. But in the broader picture, the easing of sanctions that allowed Iran to sell billions and billions of dollars of oil to China and other countries, and that money funneling to Hamas and Hezbollah, that's a big deal, and a shift in policy you would think would happen, but it doesn't look like it is happening. The Wall Street Journal really nailed it in the editorial today.
And on the geopolitical considerations brought about by this war that Israel now has against Hamas, Bret, what does it do for Israel's diplomatic progress it was making with the Saudi Arabians? Now, you had that fascinating interview you just returned from with Crown Prince MBS. it seems now he is in a difficult position domestically to keep going with those talks. Are they dead in the water now?
Well, they're definitely paused. It was interesting. The Saudis put out a statement that the Crown Prince had a phone call with the Iranian president. That's not a usual conversation in this environment. However, when I talked to him in Saudi Arabia, he did say they were very close to normalization with Israel. And then I flew from there and interviewed the Israeli prime minister, where he reiterated, yes, we are really close, both on camera and off camera. Both men said that they believed it was going to be really earth-shaking and a change. I'm not sure that it's dead in the long term, but it's definitely dead in the short term, as whatever happens with Israel pushing into Gaza and trying to annihilate Hamas happens, and how the world reacts to that, because it's going to be very ugly and very public.
Yeah, so much to play out that none of us has any idea how it's going to affect the geopolitical situation in the long run. But let's get to your book, Bret, what will be Bret Baier's 365th New York Times bestseller, To Rescue the Constitution. It's a real portrait of a divided America, Bret. Any comparisons with the way we are now?
Well, yes, and in fact, I make that comparison in the beginning and the end of the book. It's the sixth book. It's the fifth in the presidential series. And, I try to, in this blueprint, look at a soda straw moment in history and focus on that, maybe something that's been overlooked, and then see how a leader gets to that and what it means for today. And this moment is actually after the Revolutionary War. The British are defeated, sorry, Jonathan, and America is trying, to move on, but they can't. They're really divided, and there's a lot of infighting. The Articles of Confederation try to stitch it all together, but it's not working. And in fact, a large population at that time really wants to go back to British rule because they say, forget it, it's not working. At this moment is when the Constitutional Convention starts in the summer of 1787, and they tap the leader of the Revolutionary Army, George Washington, and his presence, enabling the dissent to get together and find common ground, gets to a document, eventually ratifies that document, which he calls a miracle, and he goes on to become the first American president. Without Washington, arguably, we wouldn't have a country. And this narrative kind of puts you in the room in the way that I've done in the previous books.
Yeah, it's a great read and a great historical story, especially for somebody like me who grew up in the British education system where we glossed over that pesky independence thing. But also, Bret, it seems to me that there's a message that we could perhaps take for today, a message of optimism that in troubled times, a great leader can emerge. And by goodness, we need one of those right now, it seems.
Yeah, we could use a Washington right now. I do think I take from the research and the writing some hope that there have been really dark times in our history. And, we're built on dissent. Dissent is, baked in the cake of who we are, as is union. And what Washington managed to do was mesh the dissent with the union and get to some place to move the ball forward. I think it's possible. We haven't seen a lot of those leaders step up, but in our history, when we needed one, they did. So we'll see if that continues to happen.
Let's hope so. Congratulations on what is another great book, Bret, and sure to be, if it isn't already in pre-order, a New York Times #1 bestseller. Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report. Great to have you, Bret. Thanks so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.